Honorable members, I welcome you back from suspension. We agreed to suspend sitting for 1 hour. And so, after 1 hour, I was in my lobby. Nobody informed me that you are taking a decision for us to resume at 6. And I've been sitting in my lobby up to this time until leaders came to inform me that that was a decision, and they apologized for not communicating to me. So we agreed to disagree. And at the end of the day, my decision is we will debate, but take the decision tomorrow. Now, I heard no from both sides of the House. Now, I want to understand the meaning of no from my right. Then I want to understand the meaning of no from my. Then I take a decision. The no from my right means what? Yes.
Speaker, we heard what you said, and the no definitely on our side means we'll take the decision now and today. We want the decision taken now. Let's go. Speaker, we on the side, particularly the leadership.
Majority whip. Since I am in control here, can you rephrase your sentence? Since I am in control here, can you rephrase your sentence? You say no means you will debate and take the decision now. But you are not in control of that. I am in control. So, can you rephrase your sentence? Speaker, you can't compare me.
Speaker, I will defer to you on this matter.
Yes.
We will debate, conclude the debate, and vote on the subject matter duly.
Today.
And Speaker, if I may proceed further with the greatest of respect.
Your proposal is that you want the matter to be debated, concluded with, and the decision taken today.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
As Speaker, I have the basis for coming to that conclusion.
I don't want further debate. I just understand. What is the no on this side? What does it mean to say no?
Mr. Speaker, the time is 31 minutes past 7 p.m. The no on this side means that, Mr. Speaker, this issue, we have already tabled the motion and seconded. The no on this side is that we take an adjournment till tomorrow.
Minority Chief Whip, I'm sure you also have to rephrase your sentence. Because you are not in charge, I am in charge. It's a proposal you are making to me.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize for speaking emphatically. My appeal to you, Mr. Speaker, is to say that it is past 7:30 in the evening. We are appealing to you to adjourn the House until tomorrow, when we can all convene and proceed with whatever we want to proceed to, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we will proceed to debate the motion, but we will take the decision tomorrow. I want to know from leaders, how many from each side of the house? Yes, Deputy Majority Leader. Deputy Majority Leader, yes.
Mr. Speaker, we propose that we take one from each side.
You take one.
Mr. Speaker, it is our humble proposal that we do one each. One each. That's our humble proposal.
Yes, from my left.
Mr. Speaker, why is the majority side putting one speaker from each side? It presupposes that they are tired. They cannot even speak, allow two people to even speak. That is the more reason why we are saying that let's adjourn. Let's go home, then tomorrow we come with renewed vigor. Mr. Speaker, we have written, 7 people have already taken their names, and we are yet to ask 4 to make it 10. So if 10 people are going to contribute from this side, then 10 will contribute from that side. It's already 7:31. Our Muslim brothers have not even broken their fast. And tomorrow they will fast again. This is the more why on this side we are empathizing with our colleague Muslim brothers. Not so long ago, the Honorable Deputy Majority Whip, Honorable Abib, said he's privileged to be the only Muslim in leadership. Today we are empathizing with Muslims and we are saying no. Mr. Speaker, we may not be fasting, but when your brothers are fighting, empathize with them. Based on that, Mr. Speaker, people will speak from each side. But we are still making a submission to you that Right Honorable Speaker, because we came here at 6 o'clock, it's 7:31, we are still here. Tomorrow we are coming again. At least there is no timeline item. So honorable colleagues, let's adjourn. Let's have ample time tomorrow. The whole Ghana watching to see how we are going to debate on this ministerial nominee. It is not like the ordinary one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable members, to guide me to take the decision on the numbers. How many minutes per person to debate? How many minutes?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
we propose
Leadership.
We propose 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes. Yes. 5 minutes. And Mr. Speaker,
how many minutes do you propose?
we stand by our one for the motion. We stand by our one, and we propose 5. Yes.
Yes. How many minutes?
Mr. Speaker, the report is a 62-page report. At least 10 minutes. Every member who gets the opportunity to speak should be given at least 10 minutes to speak.
Honorable members, I've listened to your submissions. I will permit 3 pairs each caucus at 10 minutes per person. That gets to 1 hour. Then after that, we'll take the next step. My proposal is that we'll take the decision tomorrow, but we'll finish the debate today. 3 from each side of the house, making 6. 10 minutes each. 10 minutes each. 3. Honorable members, motion has been moved and seconded. Is now for the debate of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the appointment committee for the report. Mr. Speaker, as I go through the report, very clear to me that the ministers have been vetted based on the Constitution, Article 78. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members, I repeat, motion has been moved and seconded. Is now for the debate of the House.
thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank the appointment committee for the report. Mr. Speaker, first of all, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the appointments, it was very, very clear, Mr. Speaker, that we had appointment one to the local government ministry, and Mr. Speaker, we already have a local government minister.
The House is in.
Mr. Speaker,
There's no other in the House.
I'll start with the nominee for the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Honorable K.T. Hammond. Mr. Speaker,
I can give mine to you.
I have told Honorable Hammond, who worked at the Energy Ministry as a Deputy Energy Minister for a very long time. Mr. Speaker, clearly, the Minister...
Sit down.
Honorable members, please take your seats. Debate to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I started talking about the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the nominee, K.T. Hammond. So, Speaker, I talked of experience at the Ministry of Energy. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is a very critical ministry. And, Mr. Speaker, a lot of questions were asked of the nominee when he was asked about the issue of our excessive importation of almost everything. This is what the minister said. He said he agreed and should cut back and make sure that we can reduce our imports, almost $10 billion in imports. But Mr. Speaker, it was very remarkable when he said that the government had already met and they were talking about strategies to address our huge import bill. And a question was asked of him about the one district policy that clearly was aimed at reducing imports, making sure we can cut back on imports, making sure that our exports will increase. And it was very clear from his answer and from the step that said that was confirmed by the Ministry of Finance that the one district, one factory has been a monumental failure after we have pumped almost over $10 billion, not only on tax exemptions and other government support. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the objective that were for that policy, one district, one factory, to create employment, increase export, to basically cut back on our import. Mr. Speaker, the basic items, whether it's rice, whether it's oil, almost everything we import. And it was clear that that one district, one factory has monumental failure. Mr. Speaker, he talked about another important issue which has to do with the challenges we've had with foreigners who have been competing with Ghanaians in our trade industry. And Mr. Speaker, he quite frankly really made reference to this problem that has really not been resolved. And this is an area that we have to really look at. But Mr. Speaker, fundamentally, one of the points about these appointments, all these 6 ministers, that these are, especially most of them are our colleagues. But our point is that this government has run us to where we are. As we speak, our country, as everybody knew, have moved from 120 billion in debt and we're over 600 billion. We are now at a debtor country, over 600 billion in debt. The government is now, as we know, going through a debt exchange program, Mr. Speaker. But clearly, what everybody has called on this government to do is to take steps to reduce its bloated size of government and take steps to make the people of Ghana and all the people who have invested in Ghana, who are sacrificing, feel that this government is taking some responsibility in this crisis we find ourselves. Clearly it's not. And we believe, for example, Mr. Speaker, we specifically talk the streets and some of where the ministers are going. Mr. Speaker, where on earth will this government send another minister to the Ministry of Local Government? The Ministry of Local Government already have a substantive minister. Mr. Speaker, we've even taken the Minister of Salvation, which is a main function of local government, out of the Ministry of Local Government. Yet one of the nominees, our good friend, the longest deputy minister, has been nominated as a minister to the local government. Mr. Speaker, clear duplication. We have debate, Mr. Speaker, that these ministers are a clear duplication and that this government must reduce its size. It's ironic, Mr. Speaker, to hear that the former president, John Mahama, has said this government is at 86 ministers. It was at 110 and now 86. Still way out, very wasteful, and a long list of other appointees that cannot be justified. So clearly, Mr. Speaker, we believe this was a clear opportunity for the government to have realigned some of these ministries and cut back on these bloated appointments. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of illegal mining, the Minister of Agriculture was asked about it. He talked and lamented about water bodies and how they are across the country. Every district we've gone to. Mr. Speaker, if you recall, President said he had basically put down his presidency on the Galamsey. Again, in this area, I'm sure he's the first to admit that that effort has been a failure. We listened to the former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Mr. Speaker, an open indictment of the government, and he said that from the Flagstaff all the way down, that everybody was in Galamsey. I'm not saying it. He said that publicly. Mr. Speaker, that is very unfortunate. And we must take steps, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday we were talking about the National Day of the Forest and the things that we must do as a country to protect our forests and to protect our water bodies. And this implication to our country's future, its implication to food production, its implication for our farmers and for cocoa production. No wonder we find ourselves in where we are, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll take you to page 27 of the report, Mr. Speaker, and in page 27 of the report, Mr. Speaker, I will quote, when asked to state his views on course of his Excellency the President to cut down on the size of his appointment in the wake of Ghana's economic challenge, the nominee stated that he is not the appointing authority but understands the reasoning behind it. Mr. Speaker, there cannot be any reason, as I've stated, there is any reason why we should have those bloated numbers that we have. Mr. Speaker, I think the Minister of Chieftaincy, the nominee for the Minister of Chieftaincy, also lamented on the issue of chieftaincy and how important it is. But he talked about our issue in this country, and that has to be disputed. Land issues, land litigation. Mr. Speaker, that is an area that must be addressed and must be addressed well, because, Mr. Speaker, they did a study and asked the critical constraint of our country, and it has to do with how we manage land, how we manage landowner, and the disputes across the country, chieftaincy disputes across the country, has to do with land. And Mr. This ministry is a very serious one, and we must really look at it. Speaker, more importantly, Mr. Speaker, how the issue of Galamsey is also connected with all these areas where chieftaincy disputes is an area that we also must talk about. Mr. Speaker, I think that clearly, Mr. Speaker, the other minister, the deputy minister, a very interesting question about a recent policy of government on gold for oil, Mr. Speaker. And it's an issue we have to talk about. And I've stated it clearly that I do not know anywhere in this world where you take your gold and you go and they give you gallons of oil. We know that the issue has always been how we manage forests, because we use a lot of resources to buy oil, especially for
just less than a minute. Because
we use dollars, we need to find a way to protect for ring-fenced dollars to be able to get crude oil. But Mr. Speaker, it is very, very clear to me that that policy must be refined, and nobody should be claiming credit that crude prices or petroleum prices have gone down because of this policy. We recently probed into it, and it was very clear to us that, frankly, the oil that has been imported in this country through this policy is less than even 5%, Mr. Speaker. So it cannot be that it's because of, as the president said, it's because of him or it's because of the policy. But clearly, it has to do with the fact that crude prices are internationally coming down. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude, making it clear and emphasizing our stand that it is very clear that Ghana have called on this government that the size of government is has to be reduced, and we believe that this is an opportunity to cut back. So it's very, very clear, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, we love these our friends we have worked with them in Parliament. But in the principal stand, Mr. Speaker, they've been appointed at the wrong time in a bloated government, and we can afford that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honorable member. Are you on your feet to contribute to a debate? Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to motion number 8. Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity to listen to the news. I've had the opportunity to read the 63-page report ably presented by the first Deputy Speaker. And I believe all the nominees, we know them, we know their competence, they earn their salaries as members of parliament, and I believe they can serve this country well. And I ask the House to approve of them to serve this country of us. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Blackwa.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, in contributing to the motion, I want to place on record that after going through the 63-page report, there are a litany of matters that require editorial. And because of time, Mr. Speaker, I will appeal that we have an arrangement where we can make corrections probably after the deliberation. Some of them are quite major issues that will require corrections, and I hope that probably someone at the clerk's office will contact us so that effect the necessary corrections. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, our country is at the crossroads. We are faced with the worst economic crisis in living memory. Terminologies that were hitherto unknown in the political lexicon of our country are now a normal feature. Words like debt risk, domestic debt exchange program, financial haircuts, pensioner bond holders, individual bond holders, all up in arms about haircuts and how they cannot have access to their life savings, to their investments. Mr. Speaker, these are times that will have required in any country where there is sensitive leadership, empathetic leadership. It will have required that we will not be gathered here today discussing appointments of ministers and an increase in the ministerial numbers. Because if you do the analysis, by having a new minister of at the local government ministry, we are adding on. We are going to have more ministers. And Mr. Speaker, at this time, as we speak, the Chancellor of the Finance Minister of our country is gone to China, begging. He is begging for debt restructuring. Our President, only a few days ago in the message on the State of the Nation, was reporting to us how the begging with the Paris Club, begging with China, how it appears to be going well, and that he is quite hopeful that by end of this month, March, we will secure a $3 billion bailout from the IMF, even though by all indication that won't happen. We are not even featuring on the IMF Executive Board calendar. So, Mr. Speaker, how on earth, when everybody is saying, including diplomats, and what the President does to them, you are begging them, you want their money, you want their debt forgiveness. And they say, okay, we hear you. You too show good faith, show good leadership, lead by example, reduce the size of your government, and you say they are meddling in your affairs. Meanwhile, you went to them. They were sitting at there somewhere, as we say, in Ghana. You went to them begging, they are advising you, and you say, you listen. CSOs, the religious organizations of our country, I have read statement of the Catholic Bishop Conference, from the Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, from Organized Labor, TUC. Everybody is saying, reduce the number of your ministers. Mr. Speaker, if you read Article 76 of our Constitution, it provides there shall be a cabinet which shall consist of the President, the Vice President, and not less than 10 and not more than 19 ministers of state. Mr. Speaker, this country can be run by 19 by our constitution. I read page 49. I read page 49 of this report, and one of the nominees, Honorable Amin Anta, was saying that there is no ceiling, there is no cap, so the president can do whatever he wants. Page 49 of this report. Mr. Speaker, reckless can we be? Already, as we speak, Mr. Speaker, we are grappling with hordes of strange portfolios at the presidency, and hence the 2021 presidential staffers list presented to this House. We have as many as 330 political appointees at the presidency. Why? Why, Mr. Speaker? And some of the portfolios, Mr. Speaker, if you come to page 15, Overseer of the National Cathedral. When, Mr. Speaker, I have overseen the National Cathedral than anybody. And yet I am not being paid for that. Somebody is being paid at the presidency as overseer of the National. We have a church relations manager, diaspora church mobilization officer. We have focal person La Francophonie, technical director La Francophonie, coordinator monitoring evaluation secretariat, coordinator special initiative secretariat. Mr. Speaker, you come to page 24 of the list, and there are even more scandalous portfolios. Youth ambassador for diaspora affairs, Mr. Jake Obaku. You have operations officer, you have program director, then you have senior program officer, then you have program manager, manager operations. I mean, all kinds of nebulous and more positions. Mr. Speaker, 330. Where are we going? Already between last year and this year, a whopping 82 million subsidies has been added, Mr. Speaker, to government expenditure. We cannot continue this way, Mr. Speaker. We cannot continue this way. That is why this side has a matter of principle that they will have nothing to do. You see, it's not about the persons involved. They are colleagues. We know them, we've worked with. One of them is the chairman of my own committee, the champion. We have a lot going together. We all belong to the Odadia fraternity and all of that. It's not him. It's about the principle, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, there are ministries in this country that can be merged. Why in this time of economic crisis should we have Ministry of Agric different from Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture? Can't we merge it? Why should we have information and communication separate? A few years ago it was one ministry. Why should we have sanitation and local government? It used to be one ministry. Why should we have railways and transport ministries? Why? Why? When senior citizens are up in arms, I read their statement they issued a few days ago that the finance ministers pledged that they will be paid. A pledge made in this house when we debated the domestic debt exchange program. The finance minister has defaulted. They are waiting for their coupons. They don't have it. And we have all these ministries. Can't we make chieftaincy and tourism? Why should we have these separate ministries? So, Mr. Speaker, it's the height of insensitivity. It's the height of lack of empathy, the height of cruelty, that in the midst of this disaster that they have inflicted upon us, they want to inflict more, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I have read the literature. When Jamaica was going through a similar debt restructuring program, when they ran into economic crisis, apart from the finance minister resigning, the governor resigning, the prime minister resigning, they identified as many as 40 institutions, ministries, departments, and agents. 40, not 1 4, for the avoidance of doubt. 40, and they slashed them, did away with them, downsized, and that is how the public confidence and the people came along. Yes, winds are tough, times are hard, but leadership should lead by example, Mr. Speaker. This is not the time to do yenti obia, muka kranami yen more. And as for me, I'm just appointing and I'll keep appointing. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue this way. And that is why I have colleagues on this side who are standing resolute with the Ghanaian people, with civil society, with organized labor, with the diplomat, who are all urging the president to downsize, to cut, and to slash his obscenely obese, the elephant pine size of government. We cannot continue this way. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to draw attention to Article 79 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, what has been the convention? Mr. Speaker, Article 79 provides that the President may, in consultation with the Minister of State and with the prior approval of Parliament, appoint one or more deputies to assist the Minister in the performance of his functions. Speaker, what has been the case consistent with this provision of the Constitution is that when you don't have a substantive minister, all presidents, and I've checked from the days of President Rawlings, they wait for the substantive minister to be vetted by Parliament, approved, and then they are consulted before deputy ministers are appointed. In this case, for the first time in this country's history, the president has, when there was no deputy minister for trade, the president has appointed a deputy minister of trade. No consultation. And this is the first time we have former Attorney General as president. And this is what he's doing. Yes, we know it's a May. Best practice. Best practice. I know it's a May, but best practice. What has been the tradition? President Rawlings, President Kufuor, President Mills, President Mahama. What is the rush for? What is the indecent haste about? Why can't you wait for Honorable K.T. Hammond, who does not get the votes and does not succeed, because we must reduce the number of ministers? What does to wait and be compliant with this provision?
Your time is up.
So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your indulgence. We will continue to vote against these ministers. It's about the principle. It is time to reduce the number of ministers and be sensitive to the plight of suffering. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
I come back to the right. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, just for the record, our colleague who made, just before I got on my feet, had made some constitutional submission. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, he sought to suggest that His Excellency is in breach of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, he should not mislead himself and advise. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I have nothing more useful to add. We close our second slot, and the Majority Leader will have a bite on our third slot. Thank you so much.
The third person from my left, who is going to be the third? You have said three, and so two is left with one person. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I thought the threat you gave us exclude the leadership. So that the minority leader and the majority leader can have an opportunity to speak to the matter. Mr. Speaker, so threat, and then the leadership can speak. But Mr. Speaker, that will mean that I will not be given the opportunity to speak as ranking member of the
What persuaded you to think that way? The words were clear and unambiguous. Three from each side of the house. What did you get from these simple words to think that after the three, the leadership will be given opportunity? Minority Leader, you haven't persuaded me at all. If it's a request that, because you heard your colleagues from the majority side, that the Majority Leader will be their 10th, and he will conclude their debate. That is what the majority leader concluded with. Oh, you have men here, plenty men and women, they are here. Yes. So, you will have to take up the battle and then conclude it.
Yes,
minority leader, are you not?
Mr. Speaker, I am making an appeal to you to allow the leadership to conclude on this matter. Mr. Speaker, if our colleagues are not ready to debate, they can give their slot to us. They can give their slot to us and we'll use it appropriately. So I'm of you. Please give us your slot and we'll use it appropriately. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker.
Are you going to debate?
Mr. Speaker, no.
All right.
I want to make a request in support of the minority leader's position. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, our colleagues on the other side are not very enthusiastic about the debate. So we are not going to take much time. I'm making an appeal that you allow, after our third person have debated, our leader, the ranking member on the committee, to make the final submission on the part of the minority. It's an appeal we are making to you, Mr. Speaker. It's very dear to us, very important to us, Mr. Speaker.
I will not rest on my decision. So if the ranking member is going to speak on your side, that will be the third person, and we will proceed. Ranking member, you may make your contribution now. Deputy Majority Leader, one day I will give a directive that this your hand that you've been swinging, it will be cut off. Yes, ranking member, you may contribute to the debate. That's the end of your slot. 3 from inside of the house. So your leader will do the third. Okay, go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 4 years ago, on the 29th of March 2019, the NPP government, under the leadership of His Excellency the President, held the Kenke Party at the Ministry of Finance. And the Kenke Party was to celebrate what they call a hat trick. The Speaker, at the time, they described the hat trick as successful Eurobond issuer. 1, 2, completion of an IMF program. And 3, cedi appreciation. The Speaker, 4 years yesterday, Ghana has defaulted in the payment of that Eurobond that we issued. 4 years yesterday, we are begging China, in fact, as we speak, our finance minister is in begging the Chinese taxpayer and the Chinese authorities to forgive us debt that Ghana government has borrowed from China. So, Speaker, we are struggling to meet the IMF conditionalities 4 years on. The Ghanaian cedi has depreciated 20% in the first 2 months of the year 2023, 4 years on. So, Speaker, this calls for a major case study. This calls for a major case study. So, Speaker, if our minister leaves China, he will be heading to Paris with the hope that he will beg European banks and European sovereign agencies to forgive us in terms of debt that we have accumulated from them. We are going to ask for debt forgiveness from the European government, Mr. Speaker, before our minister will be heading to Washington and to beg IMF to give us a program. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is in a massive economic difficulty. Mr. Speaker, this calls on us to act differently. This calls on us as a country to actually behave differently. Mr. Speaker, the very people that we are asking them to forgive us in terms of the debt that we have accumulated from them are calling on us. Not long ago, the German ambassador had said to us that Ghana's size of government is overbloated. He has said to us that there is room for us to reduce the size of government and government expenditure. So, Speaker, you can't ask others to contribute, particularly, Mr. Speaker, the international community to contribute at the time that you are not ready to contribute. So, Speaker, the German ambassador said, you cannot go to the international community and say, I need help, but I am not willing to cut the size of my government and my own budget expenditure. So, Speaker, this is profound. This is profound. We are asking the German taxpayer, to actually forgo the investment they have made in the Ghanaian economy, yet we are not ready to sacrifice. So, Speaker, our position is that the president must act. The government needs to act to save the Ghanaian economy from collapse. But this can only be done. This can only be done if we send the right signal. So, Speaker, what is the right signal? The right signal is for us to send a signal that we are reducing the size of government, and to get the Ghanaian taxpayer to be aware that the government is ready to do the heavy lifting. So, Speaker, all what we are doing now, we are transferring the burden of economic difficulty from us to the ordinary Ghanaian people that are vested in our economy. That is all what we are doing. Speaker, we stand for Ghana, and we our colleagues, the MPP members of Parliament, to stand for Ghana and not to stand for your colleagues. So, Speaker, the nominees are our colleagues. The point is that it is not about them, it is about the Republic of Ghana. They may be our colleagues and our friends, but it's not them. So, Speaker, some of them are relatives, but it's not about them. And I call on you that look them in their face against them for the Republic of Ghana, for the of our country. So, Speaker, this will not be a vote by the minority alone. We are sending a signal to the national community. We are sending a signal to the Ghanaian taxpayer that we care. We are sending a signal to everyone that we in the NDC we care. Join us and let's reject them. And urge you, please reject the appointment. Reject the appointment in the name of Ghana, because Ghanaians are watching us. The situation isn't good. Our economy is in bad shape, a very bad shape. It calls on all of us to sacrifice. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we are ready. We are ready to sacrifice. And we are calling on them to join on us to sacrifice by rejecting the nominees and to send a signal to the president. Then, Mr. Speaker, we are ready to act. Mr. Speaker, it is sad. It is sad. It is clearly sad, because, Mr. Speaker, it looks like the government of the day doesn't seem to care and doesn't seem to pay attention to public opinion. Doesn't seem to pay attention to public opinion. Public opinion is clear on this matter. For once, the people of Ghana have united, send a message to the ruling class that they are very much concerned about the way the country is being managed. Mr. Speaker, it is our responsibility as the ruling class to send a strong signal to the people of Ghana that we care. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we are taking this action. The action is for the Republic of Ghana. It is for the people of Ghana. And the NDC is noted to be the political party that stands with the people of Ghana. We will stand for the people of Ghana, united as 136 members of the Speaker. We reject leadership. We reject this nomination and call on you, Mr. Speaker, to set the podium for us to be ready to vote tomorrow. And Mr. Speaker, tomorrow we will come here and vote against the nomination in full. And we believe that this singular gesture will send the right signal to the people of Ghana that all of us, we care. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader, as the third and final contributor. 10 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, just to say that I lend my support for this House to approve of the 30th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination as ministers, ministers of state, and a deputy minister. Mr. Speaker, I've heard my colleagues say to us that the number of ministers is overly bloated. Mr. Speaker, today we have what we are going to have with these additions. We have a total of 86 ministers. Mr. Speaker, at the time of the Mills Mahama administration, at a point in time, you had 76 ministers. That time, there were only 10 regions and not 60. Mr. Speaker, what does it mean? What does it mean? If you subtract 6 from 86, the number now climbs down to 80. You have 76. The 4 is colossal. Can you believe this? Mr. Speaker, we have seen them before, their own administration. And yet outside there, the noise that they are generating, you have 76, this government, minus the additional 10 regions, will have 80. An addition of platform. That is monumental. Can you believe that? Mr. Speaker, as for what my colleague, the Honorable Kujitu Ababa, is saying in referring to Article 79, what does Article 79 provide? Article 79 provides that the President, in appointing deputy ministers, shall be Minister of State. The Speaker, when these ministers, whose positions that we are filling, resigned, ministers of state were appointed to hold over as ministers. Mr. Speaker, read the Constitution well. So when the President appoints the minister who is in charge, it's in fulfillment of Article 79. Unless your understanding of Article 79 is different. Unless your understanding of Article 79 is different. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, and I heard my colleague, the minority leader, in commencing his argument, referred to an MPP government. The government of Ghana is the government of Ghana. The government of Ghana is the government of Ghana. It is the administration of the MPP, not MPP government. The government is the government of Ghana. You should understand that. Mr. Speaker, and who was talking about the depreciation of the city? Who is talking about the depreciation of the city? I told you, from Mills's time to Mohammed's time, the city depreciated altogether from when you assumed the reins of government to when you left. The city has depreciated by 385%. Today, the depreciation is in the region of 300%. Not the best. One would admit, not the best. But compared to your own performance. Mr. Speaker. And then somebody said, the Honorable Deputy Minority Leader was saying that the 1D, 1F is a monumental failure. I think we've dealt with this when we're debating the President's message on the state of the nation. 106 factories on stream with 148 at different levels of construction. That is a monumental failure. Your own, the only one that we're able to do, Commander Sugar Factory. What is it? Only one. And you are saying that our efforts, our trade and industry, is a monumental failure. In event, if we should judge by the performance of manufacturing in the country, the Speaker, the record speaks for itself. In 2014, under your tenure, when you said that industry was faring well, 2017, 2014 industry grew at 1.1%. Under your 2015 it was 1.2%. 2016 it was 4.3%. Under your watch, the last 3 years, industry grew at 2.2%. I mean, where from this? Where from this? The Speaker, he said, "Why am I paying up my hands?" He is the master of that. He is the master of arms throwing. Mr. Speaker, so look at that. The first 3 years under Kufuor, 15.6, 10.5 in 2018, 6.4 in 2019, 10.8%. Mr. Speaker, manufacturing under your watch, in industry manufacturing holds under your watch, 4.8% in the last 3 years. Even during the COVID years, the last 3 years of manufacturing, the growth of manufacturing is 4.8%. Under your watch, it was 4.3%. So when we hear people talk about the abysmal performance of industry and manufacturing, it's laughable. We're not referring to the figures. The figures tell no lie. The figures tell no lie. I believe going back to re-argue is of no consequence. And I'll just plead that we approve of the minister and move on. And Mr. Speaker, when we conclude the debate, as I'm concluding, I will entreat you to put the question and we shall decide on the ministers. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Honourable members, we have come to the conclusion of the debate, and the question is to be put tomorrow. I proceed accordingly to adjourn the House to tomorrow at 10 in the phone room. The House is adjourned.